What's up, y'all? It's another episode of the Rapid Cat Podcast. I'm your host, Mike the Young OG. I got a special guest today with me, Miss Raven Jackson. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, y'all. I'm Raven. I'm 25 right now. I'm just working at Apple and trying to get my life together like most 25-year-olds.
Long-term friend right here. I've known her since I was in grade school.
Yes, fourth grade.
Bullying everybody on the block or trying to bully everybody, including the boys.
I mean, you know. My first best friend. My bestest friend.
You're welcome. Man. So we're gonna continue our mental health series. Brought Raven on to expand on what we talked about the last 2 weeks. And my first question I really want to ask you is, for one, what kind of has been sticking out to you so far about what you've been hearing?
I think honestly all of it. Just the fact that you used your platform to talk about it, especially into today's society, like with COVID and just the injustices and just everything really. I think mental health sometimes gets pushed on the back burner, especially in our community with Black people, that we don't talk about it as much as we should. So just everything that you've spoken on the topic is just like amazing. And for that, for speaking.
Appreciate it. So do you feel like it was pretty accurate information, or do you feel like it's been kind of like some of that might be true, others might be true?
No, I feel like it's really accurate. And I learned a lot of new things that I didn't necessarily know, like especially when you're tying in like the family and things like the dynamic. And I was just like, oh wow. That even, because I even went back and like asked my family questions, like, is this tied into why this is this way? Like certain conversations that we were having, we're kind of opening my eyes, and I was just like, I never thought of it like
that. So what do you feel like in today's society, like we can do to kind of erase the stigma of people going to like therapists or going to pastors or going for some type of therapy or like mental exercise to kind of just express like the troubles that they go through?
But like me on a personal level, it was kind of hard to like, oh, I want to go to therapy, or I think, should go on medication or this and that, because in like Black households like mine, we grew up religious. And it's like a lot of times you see that with like older family members and stuff. Oh, just pray about it, or just go to church, or just get your spirit right, or something like that.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's good, but some people do need that extra help. Like it's different when you're talking to somebody you know, rather than talking to somebody that doesn't know anything about you. And I feel like that's easier, even just people that do need the medication or the rehabilitation and things like that. I feel like we need to stop straying away from it or being, oh, like that person's crazy because they need that extra help.
Yeah, it's really been, it bothers me because it's like we're really one of the only races that kind of treats it like that, like, oh, you crazy, like you got to go talk to somebody. And it's like, nah, like our race is one of the races that's been oppressed literally almost our whole life. Like you got to go back to almost ancient times to see like where we weren't being oppressed by some sort of figure. Like I'm like, we was even oppressed by like Egyptians in the middle of their prime. Like we was being like captured, and we was being the people building the huge cities that y'all see now. And like because Egypt has so much they had so many like treaties, and they had so many like ties to Africa because they're in Africa. People think, oh no, like, man, Egypt and Africans, they like this. Like, nah, bro, like they was definitely like, I don't know specifically what states or what tribes, but they were definitely like capturing like the people who lost or whoever they was at war with, and then they was enslaving them. Like it was black on black, like whatever you want to say, enslavement at that time. And that's still us. Like we're yeah, that's still us. We're definitely like still oppressed by people. And we were definitely oppressed by them back in the day. So now it's just a matter of, how do we fix that mentally and remove that stigma?
And I think going back to what you said, it's like it doesn't make sense for us to be so oppressed, but for me to hear all the time, oh, black people don't get depressed. Or even just like, I guess because of everything we've been through, people expect us to be so strong or
Mm-hmm.
not. But even like when you think about medical instances where like doctors would be like, oh, black people can take this pain.
Mm-hmm.
Or and it's kind of it ties all into that. Like it's this thing that we're supposed to be these strong,
Mm-hmm.
especially with men, like black people, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show any emotion. You're supposed to just be this tough person all the time. So for a black man to come out and be like, oh, I think I'm depressed or I think I'm having issues mentally, people automatically look at them like, wait, or
Yeah.
they think they're weak and we do that to each other. And I'm like, why? Like it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I think it's literally just like you said, it's been our threshold for pain. It's like they look at us and they're like, "Oh, like you've lasted this longer, you've put up with so much, like this shouldn't bother you." But at the same time, it's like, nah, we shouldn't even have to do that. We shouldn't even have to like take all that and be looked at as strong or whatever. We should be strong without having to go through stuff like that. Like that's the part that specifically white people, but like even other races don't understand. It's like, oh, okay, like y'all should be used to this or y'all know how it goes. And it's like, yeah, we do, but it's still not fair. So fix
Yeah.
it.
And it's like we shouldn't be used to it. Like it should be
Mhm.
something that's, oh yeah, that happens all the time. No, it shouldn't be that way at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's like our psyche has been conditioned to deal with trauma and be able to digest it and make it our new norm. Like that in itself is a mental health problem. And like society really doesn't understand that about Black people. It's like the things that you see in Black communities now is just a product of what was introduced and thrown into our culture. Our culture was diluted. None of this stuff was happening. Like outside of basic war things that happened during war. Okay, cool. Like if tribes are at war, we ain't have nothing. We don't got nothing to say about that. Like white people used to fight white people, Black people used to fight Black people. It's still that way today. But the things that white people came in and introduced to Black people, diseases, enslavement, oppression, all that stuff is still in everybody's bloodlines. You can't erase the trauma that you introduced to Black families.
That's kind of like the crack
Hmm. Epidemic, yeah.
but that's the perfect example. You have all
Hmm.
those families that got broken up because of it, and then even though that was in the 80s, fast forward to 2021, and families are still dealing with what happened back then.
Hmm.
Because it's just situations like that. They brought the crack into the neighborhoods. They either got addicted or they ended up in jail,
Hmm.
which brought mass incarceration. And then it's people without parents, and then the cycle just continues. And then there you go. Oh, they're supposed to be strong, and they're supposed to, but how? Like all those years of just the trauma, and then
Hmm.
if you're a kid having to mentally deal with that, and all of that just ties into it. A never-ending cycle.
Yeah, the crack epidemic is like a great example, like you said, because it's like you start off and you think like, all right, cool, crack a coke or a crack, whatever, which one you want to say. Oh, it's been introduced by the Hispanics, or it was introduced by the white people, and like Black people just expanded it and made it this whole big thing. But it's like that's a source of income. When if you talking about the 80s, we're about 15 years out of the civil rights movement. So that's just us trying to be seen as a full person. Like that's just out of not being treated like three-fifths of slave, and then not even to mention voter oppression and all that, and suppression and all that, and trying to keep Black people from exercising their rights as human beings. Like, we're fresh coming out of that. So in the 80s, that's a source of income for Black people. So if that was introduced to your family early on, you either sell it or you do it, if not both. So that in itself, okay, yeah, it's our choice to sell. It's a choice to sell crack. It's a choice to do crack. But at the same time, who introduced it, and what other option as Black people, and even as a minorities, did you really have at that time frame? Because Black people didn't have a, and they still don't. We don't have a fair footing when it comes to job opportunities, and when it comes to like family things, like family wealth. Like, white people have been,
Like,
huh? Go ahead.
oh, like houses. I saw an article yesterday where this couple, I think they were they selling it or they built it. Anyway, they were trying to, I think, sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of got lowballed. And so they had a white woman stage as if the house was hers. And I think she got if I might be wrong, but offered like a couple million.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but it's such, I've seen stories like that where even houses, like they see, oh, it's a Black person in this house, we're gonna lowball it. But if they're white, they get the max.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, situations like that, or even in Virginia, I think in the state of Virginia, I think I make 60 cents less than a white man.
Mm-hmm. As a Black woman.
I make, but when you look at the statistics, most households in Virginia are led by women.
Mm.
Like I remember doing a paper on this for school, but we make, us and Asian and Hispanic make the least, even all the white women. And I think we still make less than Asian women. And it's like everything you can think of, if your race plays a part in it. It's like they try to keep us down, which is weird when you say, oh, they don't get depressed,
Mm-hmm.
they don't deal with this, but we have to deal with, you can't even buy a house or
Yeah.
sell a house and get a fair amount
Mm-hmm.
or go to a job and get paid equally.
Yeah. It's like, and a lot of like white people would say, well, no, it's not intentional, but it's like you don't even know that that's in your bloodline. Like, you're trained to keep us at a disadvantage. There's a reason why you have certain protocols, and there's a reason why some people are so big on interviews in person, because you know what I'm saying, like your resume, they might look at your resume and be like, he's a Harvard grad, he's this, he's that, he has all the credentials. Or even simplifying it, like you applying for a manager position at a hotel, like, oh, he has all the everything that we want. He has business experience, and he has his degree, and he's young, fresh out of college. We can pay him whatever, or we can pay him this, and he'll be okay for like the first 2 years. Then when you get through the interview and they're like, oh no, he's Hispanic, or no, he's Black, or he's this. It's like now they can marginalize you even more, because now that they've seen that you're a person of color, they can marginalize what they think you deserve, or marginalize what society has put as the standard. Okay, society says and stats say that Black people get paid less than white people. Cool, we're gonna pay you less than that, and then we're gonna force you to fight us on it, and we'll either let you walk, or we'll eventually give you what you want, but we'll make you do more work for it, or we'll make you claw and beg for it, and that's the type of things that we have to fight, and those are the type of things that are in bloodlines. Like, white people didn't just all of a sudden become racist. Y'all saw and ventured through the world and saw that there was different people and different skin tones, and y'all essentially started a bloodbath to get what you wanted, settled on someone else's territory, and then sought to culturize or white Americanize, whatever you want to say, people's culture, and you changed the key things about them that made them them.
Yeah.
Like, and then laugh at stuff like, oh yeah, like I'm part Native American. And it's like, oh, Black people all want to say they Native American just so they could say they was here first. It's like, no, 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 no. Like, not to mention the Native Americans that was already here, but you know what I'm saying, Black people and Native Americans, like, they mixed. Like it didn't. It's not like we were here and it was them and it was us. Like no, like everybody that was in America early on mixed,
Yeah.
even white people and black people.
That makes a lot. That's kind of like what my sister says when she's like, "We're the chosen people,"
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, she said, "Jesus is black." You know how they explain him with the wool and just the way they describe him. And I was like, you know what? She may not be wrong because I was watching. It's just like everything that you see white people do, they got it from a black person.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this hip hop documentary, like fashion through hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no idea. It's Dapper Dan. I don't know if you know
Yeah, I
him.
know. Yeah. Dapper Dan.
He's the reason all these Gucci and Louis and MCM, all
Mm-hmm.
of these people are now making clothes. And I'm like, he didn't even get his credit for it until Black Twitter. Black Twitter had to go off because who was it? Somebody in the fashion show kind of mimicked what he did. It
Mm-hmm.
was like a Louis jacket that he made in the 80s, kind of like a big puffer jacket.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And they went in the fashion show, I think it was 2018. They went
Mm-hmm.
back and had to like rip him off. But I was like, wow, like stuff like that we had no idea about that we've created, or just like I was reading about peanut butter. And was it the telephone? I don't think it was the telephone. There was something else off the wall that I didn't know Black people invented. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, they took all this credit from us.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy because you know what I'm saying. Like people look back and they're like, oh yeah, like we look to the higher brands and the people who are them to say, you know what I'm saying, oh yeah, this is in trend now. Oh, white's in trend this year and gray's in trend this year. Like we look for those standards and those like, oh, it's been stamped by an expert or it's been stamped by the people, but we're the people. Like if
yeah,
you look back to all the stuff that's going on now, like we started the baggy clothes, like we started that. That started in prison too because they weren't allowed to have belts. So you know what I'm saying. All that. Shout out to Miss Johnson teaching us about you know what I'm saying sagging. Like that
mm-hmm.
started in prison. Like that was, and the most of the people who are in prison are black people. Like
Yeah.
early 2000s, that's all baggy clothing. What's coming back now? Or like the early 2000s, like oversized type
Yeah.
stuff. That's black people. Like not, and I'm not even knocking any other race. That's black people. Like the diamond studded, like all the little studs that you see that was on the jacket that Prince wore, that Michael Jackson used to wear, that what's his face, Rick James used to wear. That's all back now. The leather jackets, like all that, that's black people. Like that's our culture. But you would never know that if you just paid attention to high fashion brands like Gucci, like Prada, like Dolce and Gabbana, like Margiela. Those are
That,
us.
yeah. That's why they don't understand, but I hate the Kardashians with everything in my being. Like, I hate them. And it's not, and maybe I shouldn't hate them personally. Well, no, because they could say something. It upsets me that I get online and, oh, Kendall and Kim have come up with this new neat braid idea, like the cornrows. Oh my God, they've invented this new hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I wear the same thing and go to work and I'm ghetto.
Yeah.
And it just infuriates me when Black women idolize these women, because I'm like, all they're doing is stealing from you and being told that they're creating all these fashion and they're just the best influencers in the world and they're just leading in hairstyle. No, they got that from us, but I can't wear a green wig without people calling me ratchet.
Yeah.
Like I can't go into my job with a green wig without somebody saying, oh, is it Halloween?
Mm-hmm.
Or I've had box braids and I've had a coworker ask me, could he mop the floor with my hair?
Yeah.
But then you have people like them where it's just, oh, it's so cute. That's the best style ever. And now white girls walk around with cornrows and it's okay.
Exactly. And on top of that, like you can trace like literally braids are black people. Like there's no debate about it. If you want to talk about fashion, we can go back and forth, whatever. Like most likely black people are gonna win that debate too, but we can go back and forth on that. The cornrows and all that, that's not debatable. That's an African tradition. Like it's an African tradition. It's to like distinguish tribes, and the color in the hair. It's an African tradition. Like they used to wear the feathers in their hair that would literally be braided in their hair, or like different. They would dye their hair like different color, like with the little color mud that they would make to
Mhm.
distinguish themselves like from certain tribes and to distinguish like rank amongst themselves as well. So and to celebrate and do different things. So for people to look back and say now like, oh yeah, that's this we starting this trend or this trend, like no, you're just stealing that trend. Like give
Yeah.
credit where credit is due. Like, and like you said, it's a double standard. Like black people can't walk into an interview with cornrows. Like they don't even want black men to have long hair. Like and
Yeah. Or like my
so
natural hair. Like
mm-hmm,
it's no reason why Virginia had to pass a law where I couldn't be discriminated for wearing my curly fro. Like that's sick that even has to be a rule because people can deny me for that.
mm-hmm.
Or
And
just like
it's
people
just
wearing locks. Like
it's ridiculous because it's at this point, it's like y'all don't realize like it's we all do it. We all play around. Oh, you got nappy hair, you got bad hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but black hair is way different
beautiful.
from all y'all hair. Like a white people, y'all can wash your hair every day. Black people cannot. Like
Mhm.
because of the texture of our hair, because of the way that our hair curls, like naps are nothing but untamed curls. That's literally all they are. So it's just like, oh, you need to brush your hair, you need to comb your stuff out. Like that's literally it. But we're seeing that depiction of us in our natural state is an identity crisis that white people and that other races have like implemented into our society and into our culture, because in our natural state y'all never accepted us,
Yeah.
like
That
never.
makes
But nah, yeah, that is it's a crazy thing. Like white people have really like conditioned black people to like accept that, okay, like natural hair is not acceptable. Let me go buy some weave, or let me go buy this and that. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not knocking weave or whatever, and I'm not knocking wigs. Like whatever your prerogative is, do your thing. But at the same time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we as black people got to do a better job of, you know what I'm saying, accepting who we are in our natural state. And now is the time more than anything to be expressive. Like we have the platform for it. Like President Obama and so many, and I would even say President Trump, as much as I don't want to, but they've opened up that platform for people to be able to say and do whatever they want to really invoke that Fifth Amendment. Like, and you see how Trump's done it and you see how Obama's done it. It's two different methods, but nonetheless, both of them have created that platform for everybody to be expressive. So now is
yeah.
the time, if any, for you to, you know what I'm saying, if you want to come out with your natural hair, boom, like now it's a kick. Now everybody's on this natural wave. Like, yeah, I might put braids in my head, but under my braids I'm natural. Like
Yeah.
you can
And
see the new growth.
I'm loving that. Cause I think I went natural 10th, no, 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did it, it wasn't a lot of people that were. And even if they were natural, they were still flat ironing their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember that I didn't even want to wear my natural curls. I was burning my hair to
Mm-hmm.
have it flat. And that's kind of
Dang.
like what you said. We kind of, because when you think about it, with the 60s and 70s,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of black women and men were wearing the fro, and then you kind of see towards the 80s and the 90s, that's when the silk presses and the straightening of the hair, or like even like with kids, like you go on this picture day, we got to go get our hair straightened. Like
Mm-hmm.
they did. I kind of do feel like they kind of conditioned us to be like, oh, this isn't right, this is right.
Yeah, that's that European culture, like the different flipped hairstyles and the straightening of the hair, and like even the wigs that they wore in back in Great Britain. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all those pin curls and all that, that's their culture. Like if you look in black culture, we don't have that. Like we don't have none of that. We got the mohawk, we got the afro, and we got like the low cut, I guess if you want to say, and we got the ball cut. Like
Yeah, because then there's slavery. Like if from some of the pictures that I have seen, it's like they had on headscarves.
Mm-hmm.
They really didn't. Isn't it a story behind that too? Why?
I'm not
Like
sure.
when I feel like it was a reason why they had to like cover themselves up. I just can't remember
Oh no.
what it was. But I think I don't like now that you said it, I don't think we did a lot with our hair back then.
Mm-mm. It was because it was seen like our marriage tradition was for the husband and for the wife to see who they really were in the daytime.
Mhm.
So it wasn't all these, oh, let me dip your hair up. Like, of course, they moisturized the hair, picked it out, whatever they did, like made you look presentable. But it wasn't like, oh, let me go ahead flat iron my hair. Like, and it's not like they didn't have the technology to straighten hair. They had the technology to straighten hair and do whatever. But it was like, no, this is my natural state. I'm just gonna put on my best stuff for you, but you're still getting me in my natural state. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, and you could say even makeup started kind of that in that tradition of black people because white people had the same color palette in terms of makeup. They got the red pink lipstick, the white powder, and maybe some nudes or whatever, and the black people we have Egyptian culture is just I don't even have to say it. All the color and all that stuff, that's Egyptian culture. That you see the little
Yeah.
eyeshadow, the eye, all that. That's Egyptian culture. They were into all of that early on. And it's like we gotta really stop separating Egypt from Africa because it's like stop thinking that people who lived in the Middle East and in Africa are somehow fair skin, I would say white skin. Like
Yeah.
South African people were literally breeded with white people. So they're really the only state in Africa that's more of the fair skin. But everybody out through Africa, that they're right on the equator line. There's no way you're walking around Africa and that you're white. I'm sorry, like it's not happening.
Yeah.
You're
That's
gonna
even
have
like
some pigment.
I noticed that about Indian culture too,
Mm-hmm.
where they can get really dark. Like I had a customer once that came into Apple and I thought he was a black man. And when he
Mm-hmm.
pulled out his ID, his last name was Patel. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you're from India. And then he
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like explaining, and I was like, wow, like he really liked the hair and just the facial features and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, every country you go to, you're gonna find somebody or some like a family that kind of look like, oh, they black.
Yeah.
So it's a piece of us everywhere. Like,
Yeah, literally, like, and it's not just to say this is not no oh black people rule the world. This is just literally to say, all right, white
we
people,
need
you
our
had
flowers.
white people, y'all had y'all contribution. Jewish people, y'all had y'all contribution. Europeans, y'all had y'all contribution. Indians, Hispanics, uh, who else? I missed it. Chinese, the Asian culture, like y'all had y'all's. Give us ours. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has a stereotype. Like, oh, Asian culture is known for being very smart and whatever. Like Europeans are known for art or whatever you want to say. Then the white people are known for discovering America. And then
Mhm.
black people are just whatever,
They
like
bring up Martin.
slang.
They bring up the three basic people in Black history. I mean, I wouldn't say basic because they did a lot, but those when you talk to white people, you bring up Black history, they're only gonna say Malcolm, Martin, and Rosa.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
it's like the main three people. And I'm just like, no, it's way more than that.
And then you see the people in our culture that's really done stuff like Muhammad Ali. Like they only glorify him as a boxer. Like oh Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, they glorify him as
As a
a
basketball player.
basketball player. No, 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 no. Glorify Michael Jordan as a businessman. He is a billionaire. Like and
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been the first billionaire if he didn't first black billionaire if he didn't have that gigantic divorce.
Yeah.
And on top of that, glorify like Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those were activists, like while being
Arthur
underpaid.
Ashe, because his
Yeah,
story is like crazy.
exactly.
You
Like you gotta
you
acknowledge
go
these
with
people for more than what they did on your spectrum, like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So that's like Serena Williams. How people tormented her so bad when she got upset and broke her racket,
Mm-hmm.
and then that white lady did it the other day, and it nothing. Like, where's the cartoons? Where's the unprofessionalism? Where's all of that y'all was
Mm-hmm.
saying about Serena? But as soon as Serena got upset, people couldn't wait to play that old angry black woman card.
It's so funny that you even bring that up because it's like, how dare you as white people say that we are sore losers? This is coming from the same culture that whenever you guys lost the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln had to allow y'all to keep your flag to keep y'all in check. Until
Yeah.
this day, it's still relevant. It's a symbol of racism, and you guys get to fly it on your houses. Y'all get to fly it on 95
Like the
north,
huge on 95.
huge off the highway. You can see it clear as day over the trees, and you guys get to put it on your trucks, your vehicles, in your stores, and we have to deal with that.
Right. I mean,
That
look at
is
the
the
Capitol.
that exactly, that is the
Like, that's a
definition of a sore
perfect,
loser.
perfect example. Like, here in Richmond, people was getting mazed, the rubber bullets for just standing there. And these
Mm-hmm.
people stormed the Capitol. And what, one woman got shot? I think there was was it just her? I think
Mm-hmm.
that died. Yeah, just one woman. All those people.
And y'all had the first of all, y'all had the nerve to say, "Oh, we're undermanned in the Capitol," and then y'all had the national. They had the National Guard in the corner, jumping away from people, literally like flinching, dodging, all that. White people throwing feces in the Capitol, standing on top of desk, in there taking pictures, walking through the Capitol. Bless you. And it's
Thank you.
literally like, if we even had a group of 20 people outside protesting, we would have been treated with brutal force.
Oh yeah,
Like,
most definitely. Most definitely. Like,
and
most definitely.
you can't, it's like, you can't look at that and trace and not trace that back. Like, that goes, I was watching something on Netflix called, I don't know if you've seen it, The Night Stalkers, a documentary.
Well, I was gonna watch that tonight.
It is very intense, and I can't believe something like that happened. But it's like stories like those is like, first of all, y'all are so worried about black people having guns. All the serial killers, 90% of serial killers, 90% of shootings that were in America are done by white people, not
Mm-hmm,
by us.
mm-hmm.
So why are you trying to check us on something that y'all have the issue with? All the gun control laws that get presidents in or out the White House, those are white people. Those are backed predominantly by white people. So, like, really, like, and why are we even so pressed about having a assault rifle, and you not even in the military? You don't do nothing like that. Like, you don't need
That's
that.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I I've had conversations with white people that said something about like the assault rifles, and then I've had conversations with black people.
Mm-hmm.
I somewhat could get why a black man would want an assault rifle. I still don't think you need that big of a gun. You can always get you a 9 millimeter, a revolver or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But when someone said it was a black man, he was like, not only is he fearing cops, but he's fearing the people in his neighborhood. So it's
Yeah.
just like that constant that constant fear of just having to protect yourself. It was like, as a
Yeah.
black man, you're not safe anywhere, it feels like. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, that's good. I still don't think you need an assault rifle, but I do get
Yeah.
why black men, especially now, feel like they have to double up on their protection.
Yeah, because it's like we're pinned against each other like so early on in our lives. Like, it's not just one of those, okay, like, you guys are racing. Whoever wins gets the ice cream. The other person just gets a try hard award. No, 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 no. We are competing against each other for survival. Like the
Mm-hmm.
next person that we're next to, oh yeah, you hoop, I hoop. Well, guess what? Like I'm gonna try to embarrass you. I'm gonna try to do everything in my power to make sure you're not great. Because if you are great and you beat me out, my family is SOL. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and that's our mindset because we haven't been given the equal opportunity to be like, yeah, all right, you like to hoop, that's cool, but you can go ahead and be in this doctor over here too. Like, if you get this and you know how to do this and this, like you won't be $60,000, $70,000 in debt once you get out of high school. Like, do this right here, or this is a program for you to go through so you can do what you want to do. You don't have to limit yourself at an early age to either rap, sell drugs, or go to the league of some sort. But that's just trained in us because we don't have equal opportunity.
We don't. It's like you don't. Just now, period. I saw in the news where it was like a poll where they were asking kids what they wanted to be when they grew up,
Mm-hmm.
and the number one answer was a YouTuber, and
Yeah,
then the second was an athlete. It's like, and then like I think doctors and lawyers was like 3 or 4 down the line, but like nobody wants to. It's like you see all of this on social media, and I said like our race, we can be kind of flashy. We are the type, we get money and we go straight to Icebox or
mm-hmm.
straight to the car
Mm-hmm.
dealership.
Yeah.
And we try to deny it, but we do that. Because I'm even like that sometimes. You know, you get some of the money. Oh, I'm about to go get me a ring or a chain or a new wig or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, we be proud to show what we have. And I think that's what a lot of kids, a lot of people in the neighborhood see. It's like, for like Chicago, for example, like they gentrified that neighborhood, and then you have a lot of the hoods that are now merging, that were beefing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more murders and more killings. And then you see these kids, they see people like G Herbo or people like Polo G or Dwayne Wade, who's originally from Chicago, people like that got out because of rapping and got out because of basketball, and they see the glitz and the glamour, them not having to be there anymore. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why it's like, oh, why would I go be a doctor when I could make millions of dollars rapping?
Exactly. And you don't
Yeah.
have those black people in the neighborhood that are like just established, like middle class, high class, whatever you want to say, that are literally teaching people like, no, 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 no. That's not what you want to do. Yeah, you
Mhm.
see that chain that he bought, he gotta pay that money back to his label. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gotta pay that back. So just because he went out and bought that, that was the first thing he bought. He bought a $70,000 chain, and he got to pay that back to the label through him putting out music. He got to beat them sales. He got to make these certain things. And then on top of that, he got to do over what the standard is to get his profit going, to start his money off the top instead of just getting money up front and all that type of stuff. You don't got people in the hood. You don't got people in regular black suburban neighborhoods that's really teaching you wealth, like how money works and how life works. It's not white people pass that down through generations. They pass down wealth, they pass down deeds, they pass down property. We are not passing down anything but debt really in the black community. Like when
And
people
it's not all our fault,
mm,
but we do play a part in it.
yeah.
Because I've had conversations with people like, oh, you can't blame us. And I'm like 80% of it is us. Like
Yeah.
I get that because people make the joke white people are born with a 750 credit score. Like
No,
they're
for
born
real.
out the bat with a credit score. And it's like, I'm losing my train. Black Hollywood, what's the name of it? Black Wall Street. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people bring that up. And
Mm-hmm.
then like that was the reason why we don't have generational wealth now. And I'm just like, you really can't say that because Madam C.J. Walker, she did all of that on her own,
Yeah.
you know? And I feel like sometimes we sometimes use that as a crutch.
Yeah, for sure. Like we can't control what already is and what happened, but we can control the future. So it's important for even athletes who do all this, and for people like Chance the Rapper who really gave back. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, who really gave back, and Pusha T and Pharrell, what they're doing right now in Virginia. Like, we need, it's great that y'all are doing stuff to kind of bring the community together, but we need teaching. Like, we need you to show us how to operate with our money. Like, we need
Yeah.
that, because Black people get a credit card and see the limit is 5,000, and we literally
And
go and
that's
spend 4,500 of it, and then we be like, I can't spend no more. Like, I'm paying everything off on my credit card, and my cash is going, or my debit card is going to all this, like my bills and stuff like that. So, like, just getting that money management and getting that, what to do whenever you've taken care of all of your priorities, your bills, your debts, stuff like that, and things that you need, your essential things that you need, what to do with that extra money that you have, where to invest it, how to read the stock market, how to, like, not go into your savings and just dip into there anytime you feel like you're in trouble, or anytime you feel like you really, really need those shoes for little JJ or whatever, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need that focus. We need to hear other Black people speak about that and say, yeah, I got a $3.4 million crib, but I paid for that junk in cash. Like, I paid all of it out in cash. Like, I saved up for it. Or I got a 30-year plan just like you for my $3.4 million home. Yours is just 500,000, but mine is a 3.4, and I'm still paying that over 30 years. My payment plans come out like this. Like, we need somebody to have that structure for us and to really do that, because Jewish people pass down things in their community, white people pass down things in their community. It's really the Black and Hispanic races that we kind of look around and it's kind of like, it's the same old, same old. And that's not even in our culture. Like, back in the day, it was a custom for when you gave your daughter to a man, for one, he had land. Like, he already had land in his family, like whether he was inheriting his father's land or he went and got some other land. But it was, you weren't giving your daughter away to somebody who didn't have their life together. So, and it's like, now we just be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna just go pop this baby out. I don't need to do that. Or I'm gonna just go ahead and do this. Like, we'll get married and we'll figure it out. We're gonna live with my mama or your daddy or my daddy until we get it together. And it's like, nah, like, that's not Black excellence. Like,
it's
that's creating more statistics, that's creating more mass incarceration, because it's been proven, like I said this before, all that majority of Black men in prison, over 80%, didn't have a father figure, didn't grow up knowing their father. That plays a part. The family dynamic plays a part. That's why when you see most white people, like, oh yeah, they got their life together, or yeah, they can go and shop and walk around in different spaces and stuff like that. One, because they're white. Two,
yeah.
because they've been raised in this. They're used to nice things. That's why Black people run out and buy jewelry, run out and buy nice cars. We're not used to nice things. So when we see them and we can get them and it's attainable, we like, all right, that's the first thing I'm gonna go get. That's gonna certify me in front of all these white people. And they looking like,
And they
no,
don't even care.
yeah. They're not phased. They like, okay, you went and bought a Ferrari. I could go buy a Ferrari too, but I got five cars already. I got like two Hondas. I got a Jaguar. I got a minivan, and then I got a little RV. And I got about 10 houses that I'm renting out that I'm just getting money from, and I'm invested in the stock market. They like, you're not. I'm a millionaire. You don't even know it because I dress regular.
And that's like the people we go to church with. My he's kind of like my godfather. He was the vice president of MCV.
Mm-hmm.
He had a pickup truck. I think that pickup truck was a 96, 97. He didn't have that pickup truck for years. The oldest little pickup truck. He just bought him a new car. And it ain't even nothing fancy. It's a Jeep.
Exactly.
And they live in a nice small little house that they built in Chesterfield. And you would never know that they rolling in dough. He wear the same suit every Sunday.
Exactly. Like, and it's funny. We laugh at that, John, and be like, that's funny. Well, it'd be like, no, for real. Like, you need to have that confidence. Like, I don't need to follow trends. I don't need to try to keep up with the Joneses or whatever you want to say. Like, we gotta understand as a culture, it's imperative for us to learn wealth early. Like,
Yeah.
if we don't know that early, like, we're gonna just be another statistic, and it's not necessarily, oh, another dope dealer. No, just another black family that doesn't understand money. We just go out and buy things because we can, and then
Mhm.
we're not really generating anything for the next generation to come. It's literally just a bunch of debt, or we break even.
Yeah. And then we giving money to people that don't even like us. Like was it Hill Figure? Said he didn't want black people wearing his stuff. Or just like you see how
I think it was
Gucci,
Michael Kors.
Michael Kors. I knew it was Michael Kors, a Hill Figure. It was one of them.
Michael Kors, and then Ralph Lauren, him, they were like, he said that he didn't make clothes for black people.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
it was one of those. And then you have like Gucci that did the black face.
Mm-hmm.
And was it Burberry or Fendi where they had the box braids on the white man?
I can't remember.
And one of them, and I'm just like, y'all be mad for 10 minutes and then you go back and give them that money. And that's why they
Mm-hmm.
keep doing what they're doing.
And it's like, that's fine. Like, if you just like, look, I know they messed up, and H&M had that issue too. Like, I know they messed
Mm-hmm.
up, but you know what I'm saying, I like their clothes. Whatever your reason is, I'm not gonna knock you for your reason. Like, that's your prerogative. But at the same time, like, why don't we have a black version of Nike? Like, why don't we got a black version of something? And not to say like we got a blackenize everything, like, oh yeah, we need everything black. Like, no, but we need something to establish us. We need something to generate wealth
Dapper
for
Dan.
us. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Every rapper, singer, artist wore his stuff. It was Walker.
he was the tailor for everybody.
Yeah, it was him. It was another lady. She had a brand called Walker Wear, and then it was Carl Connie. All of them were really big at this time, and she said they went to like a convention, I guess, where it had all the big luxury
Mm-hmm.
clothing lines and stuff like that, and they did them dirty. Of course, it was white people. They put Dapper Dan, I think it was Dapper Dan, Carl Connie, Walker Wear all in one booth together. And she said in that one day they made like 2 million. And the next day they ended up getting a booth in the middle of the area because all the white people was looking like, okay, maybe we need to start working with them. And that's what we need to do again. Like if you look in the 90s and you look at LL Cool J, look at all them rappers and stuff, they wasn't wearing Gucci and Fendi. They was wearing Dapper Dan and Walker Wear, black owned businesses.
And
And
FUBU.
it was making all those other people look like maybe we need to, switch it up. I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
we need to go back to that.
And it's cool too. Like, I love Nike too. And you know what I'm saying? Part of Nike is Jordan. Like, that's black owned or whatever, but cool. But like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, your homeboy down the street is trying to start some like clothing line or whatever that's for, you know what I'm saying, for sports. Like, invest in that, like buy something from that. Like, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to like train myself to think like that too. Cause it's like, you might not like it, but at the end of the day, like, they could evolve from what you don't like. Like, maybe that's just what they have starting out. Like, you don't know what what the end product is gonna look like, or what the end of their brand is gonna look like. So invest early, like, into everybody, like in your community, as long as they got their head on straight and you not co-signing no BS. Like, you know what I'm saying? You want to invest, like, you want
Yeah.
to push black excellence and push like black people to the forefront, and reassure your black brother, your black sister that, hey, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever our differences are, or however I feel about you, I support you. Like, we might be pinned against each other. And yeah, I want to win just like you want to win. And I want to win even if you do win or if you don't win, but I still support you. Like, I'm not going to drag you down just so I can get up. Like, we got to bring each other up at the same time. And you don't see that with like black brands for real, like, especially not in Virginia. We all pinned against each other.
You don't. I know somebody that's watching this later gonna be upset because I don't consider Virginia to be the South. I don't care that this was the Confederacy and that all the racist white people was
We
blowing black people up down here.
mm-hmm.
This may be right there on the border of the South, but
Mm-hmm.
it gives me up north feel.
Yeah.
And I just say that because when you go down where I'm from, Alabama, or you go an hour out to Atlanta, they help each other down there. Like, I had one friend that went down there. She said she wanted to get her lashes done, and the girl was like, "Well, I'm about to close, but I can take you down to somebody else that does it." And there's another girl down here that do hair. You don't see that down here. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm about to close, but I can get you in tomorrow." Like, they
Mm-hmm.
still trying to get your money. It's not, "Oh, well, I'm about to close. Let me put you on to somebody else I know that can get some quick money."
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I feel like down here, as much as people try to deny it, it's a lot of hate, a lot of hate, a lot of hate. And I think that's one of our biggest downfalls. Instead of coming together and trying to help each other, we just hate on each other and try to
Yeah.
outdo each other.
But it's like it's nothing to hate on. It's like, all right, everybody like got their own creativity. They all got their own vision. Like we could all make it work. Like, and some of us just need to. And if we really pay close attention, a lot of our visions, a lot of our brands kind of correlate. So it's like if we collab, and you know what I'm saying, you just have your part of the brand, I have my part of the brand. We push it like together. We splitting expenses like well, like the quicker black people start, you know what I'm saying, teaming up, all these like buildings, warehouses, all this stuff in Richmond that's being vacant or that's being, you know what I'm saying, like sold, we could buy all this up and like
Right.
they in like very particular spots. So it's like, all right, like I go over here. All right, this is a tailoring spot. I go over here. All right, this a whole kind of little mall section for with black owned businesses and stuff like that. Oh, I go over here. This the warehouse for that big brand downtown that's, you know what I'm saying, that's a consultant agency owned by black people. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it's it's stuff like that that we kind of don't really think about. We just think about it for ourselves. Like, I'm gonna go buy a building or I'm gonna go do this by myself. Like, I gotta get it, I gotta do this. And it's like, yeah, such and such down the street, they doing these numbers, or such and such down the street, they selling this. So I gotta come with something crazy and beat them out and demolish my competition. Like, nah, the spirit of competition should always be there because you should always want to be pushed and want to compete and show that you have the ability to adapt and evolve, but at the same time, you don't want to discredit somebody else.
That's perfect what you just said, though. That's like somebody's like, "Oh, I want to learn how to do nails," but everybody's learning how to do nails, and that's perfect. Like you said, all you gotta do is all these vacant buildings, open up one building, and all of y'all can own that little building right there, and put all the Asian nail techs out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Just put all the black nail techs, or like all the hairstylists, or even like I was saying, like how you notice how they're starting to gentrify everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go down Highland Park and it's white women at nighttime walking their dogs. You wouldn't have seen that 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Like you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling um my mom, I was like, I feel like we need to buy the city back. Like
Got to.
take take that money and invest it in the house instead of the white people taking those houses and flipping them, and then the rich white folks coming in and pushing us out. We buy those houses, flip them, and make them affordable.
Mm-hmm. And then put businesses in those communities as black owned. Like, so we don't necessarily have to drive 30 minutes across town to go to a white owned business, to go to an Asian owned business, to go to a Jewish owned
Yeah,
business. Like, we're in our community still. And people might be like, well, isn't that still, you know what I'm saying, separating races and that's the racism? No, because that keeps black people trusting each other. That's like reinforcing us and that way, you know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that black people do everything better, but you know what I'm saying? You might go on the side of town and an Asian woman do your eyebrows, and you come in your community and she could do your eyebrows. They cheaper, it's less of a commute, and she doing better. Like,
mm-hmm.
you don't know, we don't know that because everybody want to be a rapper, everybody want to be a nail tech, but it's like, all right, cool. If everybody want to do that, that's cool. Don't have your hand in just that. Be multifaceted. Like,
Yeah,
that's the vibes. We need that in our community for everybody to be able to do everybody. Because what if somebody can't do something and it's 12 o'clock at night and you all of a sudden got an interview the next day? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call Rhonda. I know she could do my nails real quick because she got her stuff at her crib right now. Like, you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like, stuff like that we just need.
Because we have a lot. I will say our generation is really big on entrepreneurship. Like I will say that we are big on getting
Mm-hmm.
out and getting that bag, period.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more, it's a lot of selfishness in it, a lot of unprofessionalism. A lot of people are getting these LLCs and starting these businesses, don't know anything about customer service.
Mm-hmm.
All they know is they want some money. So it's a work in progress, to say the
Yeah,
least.
it's like that. Like we just gotta look at that and kind of look at what we did in the past, like trace it back. Like, bro, like this is not the way that black people, like what is in black tradition, what's in black culture, like what we see
Yeah,
now, all this brokenness, all this pent against each other, like that started with enslaving of black people, like the enslavement of black people. This didn't start whenever we were thriving in our communities or whatever. And
yeah,
people can say, "Oh, you guys weren't really up to date technology wise." Da 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 da. It's like, bruh, we were still advanced. We Egyptians created geometry. Like, come on now. Like, what are we really talking about here? Like, we would have adapted. We would have came into whatever the world was doing. We would have caught up if we were behind, in fact. So you just gotta look back at it and be like, all right, cool. Like this ain't the way our culture would have handled like marriages or having babies out of wedlock and stuff happens. Like people like unfortunately there's sick people out there that rape women and there's sick people out there who just go around slanging whatever and don't really care, don't have a responsibility. But we just gotta trace it back to our roots. Like that's not black excellence. That's not what black culture is about. Like it's a stereotype at this point.
it is. I feel like we need to go back to the 50s and 60s, not all the way, but where they had the men would have on their nice little suits and the
Mm-hmm.
women have on their dresses and their pearls and
Mm-hmm.
just the way that everybody carried themselves back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like even they just looked older. Like you look at pictures and I'm like, Dad, you was 21. like,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
geez, you look 30.
Yeah, it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, like there was just a sense of pride back then. Like, nah, like I got this long dress on, this little long grandma dress on, but I look good. And on top of that, you're still looking because I'm fine. Like you ain't looking at my
Right.
boobies, you ain't looking at my butt.
Right.
Like my
Yeah.
face look good, like my hair done, like my breath don't stink, like all that, my earrings in. I don't look like no little boy. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we had that pride. And it's like along the lines of letting this stigma and all these epidemics like become our crutch. We just is like, man, it is what it is. They gonna treat us how they want to anyway. Yeah, with that mindset, they gonna keep doing it too. So we can't keep doing that, man. We gotta recognize that. Like that's a mental health disease. Like to
It
think
is.
like that.
And that's what I say all the time where I've had people get mad at me when I bring up black on black crime and they try to say it's not real. And I'm just, but then you have white people that'll say, oh, well, I can go, it don't matter if I go and kill a black person or I do this, they just gonna kill each other. And I'm just like, I hate that. I freaking hate that.
Yeah,
Like,
because even if
and I'm like, because we grew up military, so maybe I don't know what it's like to really live in the hood because I've never had to.
mm-hmm.
But from the outside looking in, you going to kill another black man over a $10 gram of weed is considered black on black crime to me. And I just feel like we don't need to do that when we have so many other people trying to kill us and pin us against each other
Mm-hmm.
for the smallest things. And then you have white people that make that comment like, y'all killing each other. Well, I can't just go and beat you up or kill you. I probably get away with it. I'm doing y'all a favor. Like I've heard people make comments like that. And it's just, where I feel
Yeah.
like we need to break that stigma
Mm-hmm.
of being the ratchet and ghetto and fighting each other. Like, I know white people fight, but how many times do you see white people fighting in Walmart like you see black people? or how many white people you see on World Star.
Yeah, it's like
Or just
it's a sense of pride we gotta get back, and at the same time, people gotta stop screaming about black on black crime because yeah, it's real, but so is white on white crime, so is Asian on Asian
yeah.
crime. Like every race, you know what I'm saying, has that. But at the same time, like why y'all not talking about the dude in Philly who just shot them two people and executed them like dead in the street, arguing over, I think it was like, I can't even remember. It was something dealing with a
Oh, with
car.
the snow, wasn't it? When they
Yeah.
was shoveling?
Mm.
Yeah.
Something like
I
that. So
remember
it's like you not talking about that. We're not talking about that. Like he just executed two people in public on camera in the middle of the street. Like he shot both of them, one in the arm, one in the leg. They were still talking, going back at it. He said, "I bet." And he even says it on camera. I'm about to go get my gun before he shoots him. They still talking. He shoots both of them in the head on camera, leaves them for dead, like leaves them dead. So it's like we don't talk about stuff like that, but we want to
No,
talk. Y'all want
you're
to talk
right.
about the Crips and the
Black on
Bloods
black.
still beefing. Like, come on now. Like, we'll handle what's inside. You just make it fair for us to even have this conversation. Like, it's not even
Yeah.
fair for you to jump right into black on black crime when you're killing us without any penalties. Like, that's the issue.
Yeah, and I get that because, like you said, it is white on white crime. It is Asian on, like all races kill each other, but it's like they put a magnifying glass on us, and I just feel like, why do we give them that ammunition to keep? I don't know. It's a sticky conversation to get into because everybody's going to see it differently, just from their view, or just I don't know. It's just,
Yeah. It's a, like you said, it's a sticky conversation to have, but at the same time, like I think both can be true. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like black on black crime gotta stop. And at the same time, you know what I'm saying, it can be a joint effort. Like y'all can just stop killing us. Like
yeah, and that's what and part of reason, and then I think that's another reason. If it wasn't the way it was with white people, like what we went through all of these years, I feel like maybe black on black crime wouldn't be as bad, or it wouldn't be a thing, because you have it like I was saying with Chicago with the gentrification. They pushed all of those black people out of those neighborhoods and put them together. So you have all these people that were beefing, literally next door neighbors. So it's situations like that where it's like you can, but you can't help it.
And y'all been killing, white people have been killing black people since enslavement. So it's like y'all been killing us and getting away with it for forever. Like, because slavery was basically in the law and it's in the Constitution. Like, it's in everything. Like, it excludes black people. It is strictly talking about people of fair skin, white people, because otherwise, our first president of the United States wouldn't have been a slave owner. Benjamin Franklin was a slave owner. Thomas Edison was a slave owner. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just be, or Thomas Jefferson, I mean, was a slave owner. So we can't just be sitting here. And one of the most racist men in our history, Andrew Jackson and Robert, all those people, like they're racism, like slave owners. At some point, they were. So it's not like we could just gloss over that fact. Like, we got to address all that, like all the way back. Like, how could y'all just be killing our race off easily without, you know what I'm saying? It don't even affect y'all. Like, y'all don't even think twice. You're not like, oh, maybe this is a problem, or maybe we shouldn't do this. Like, blah, blah, not. Y'all had the authority to execute us at any time. And you did. And it's still that way.
That has always made me think. I've always thought about that. Like, what made them hate us so much? Like, I do always think that, like, you go all the way back. I'm like, what was it that just made them like, okay, these people right here are going to be niggers and we're just going to make their lives crazy. Like, they come up with the nickname, like, this is what we're going to call them, and this is what we're going to do to them. And it's just like, what made, like...
And white people were the ones who were called niggers first. And then y'all want to, and then you want to just transfer it. Look it up. White people were the ones, that name belonged to them. They were called niggers first. Then they transferred that name over to black people. So it's like, don't don't be deceived by, oh yeah, white people just such. It's like, no. Most of the stuff that white people have done, it's been in our culture. Like they just been stirring it up, taking whatever they
Yeah,
wanted out and doing that. Like
that's like
it's deep.
the MF word. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know the story behind that. I was like, wow. Like
Mm-hmm.
just basic words and basic things that people, I'm like, goes back to slavery, has the craziest and most horrific story. Like, who would have thought that's what mother came from? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like and that's what I really want to do with this series. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like black people go do your research. Like white people go do your research. Everybody like go back and dig into your families, dig into like your history and really like trace stuff back like within yourself, within your family, like everything and just strive to be better and look to see where you can correct things because
yeah,
it's a lot, man, like that we just are not educated on that we're ignorant to. Like so we just gotta do it for ourselves. Like we just gotta strive to be better, like really at the end of the day.
yeah, because it's like every year we get more and more back to how we used to be.
Yeah.
And it's scary because we're at the age where we're eventually going to settle down and have kids. And it's just like, do you want to bring a child into a world that's going to hate them because of how they look?
Yeah. We living from extreme to extreme right now. Like it's dangerous for real. But
It really is. It's I don't know why it seems like it's scarier now than it was back then. Because back then they literally could do what they wanted. Like you couldn't call the police because the police was the one beating you up
it's
and could
scary.
literally get away with it.
It's
But I guess
scary.
now,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
uh, I guess now because you can record everything and you're actually seeing it, I think that's what makes it scary. Because back then you didn't have all these camera phones and Instagram and Twitter and
Yeah.
Facebook where you could just get on live real quick and show everything.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's what it is.
Closing out, like I was watching All the Smoke podcast with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, and they had Doc Rivers on, and he said something that really stuck out to me. He was like, growing up, my dad was a cop. And he was like, and he's black. So he's like, when cops came into my neighborhood, you knew them by name. They knew everybody by name, black people. He's like, so when you came in, it's like you wouldn't having to run from them or whatever. They knew where you lived. They'll come in the house and be like, if I catch you doing this again, you go into jail. Like, and they would help raise you, they would teach you, they would keep you out of trouble, you know what I'm saying? And they would understand where you come from. He was like, but once I left my neighborhood and I'm in another neighborhood that, you know, it's not black people, he's like, now I'm on my toes. Like now, if you do get messed with or you do get taken away, anything could happen to you. And I was like, that is really the difference. Is like now you really don't have black officers because there's nothing glorious about the police. And then on top of that, it's scarier now because every law, everything almost is in place for white people not to be able to get away with killing black people, and they're still getting away with it. Like that's the horrific part of it, is that there's a there's a culture or there's a law and a standard set in place to protect people, and we're not being protected. Like,
Yeah, that's like Atlanta when the riots was going on. Those two
mm-hmm,
black cops that dragged those kids out
mm-hmm,
and tased them, and I feel like they glorified. I don't want that glorified, but they plastered them all over the news
mm-hmm,
like they did to make a point, to make it
mm-hmm,
seem like you see, it's not all white people. Y'all doing it to each other. And I feel like that was the moment right then and there where they could have did something differently,
mm-hmm,
or could have just been like, let's handle it a different way. Because I'm not gonna lie, I tried to look at black cops like that look iffy with me too. Because I'm just like you said, you still got all these killers and all. So what are you like? A lot of black people say, "Oh, I became a cop to make a difference,"
mm-hmm.
but I don't see much of a difference.
Yeah.
Or you see what happened in Atlanta, which is, Instead of you knowing what y'all did was wrong, y'all drag them out and tase that couple, and they was just going home.
Yeah, it's deep, man. It's so much conversation that just needs to be had that we just need to go ahead and have and to address. Like, but we just
And
need
I
to
have
be
so many
educated.
questions.
Yeah, we just got to be educated when we do that. Like, we can't just go in and be like, y'all do this, y'all do that. We need this, we need that. Like, no, 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 no. Like, gather some information, do some research, like check out the facts, and then have a conversation. Like, and make sure that other person or the other people are willing to have that conversation. Otherwise, we can be talking to ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be active participants on both sides.
Yeah, because like I said, this could be a sticky conversation. Because like I said, everybody has different personal views and things that have happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they all gonna look at the conversation differently. But everybody just needs to be willing to have that conversation.
Exactly. We can disagree and we can have our differences of opinion, but at the end of the day, we want the same thing. That ain't nothing wrong with that. So appreciate you for coming on the podcast. You know, giving us a little spice, you know, whatever. Okay, relax. Giving us for, you know what I'm saying, coming on, you know, blessing the mic one time.
Thank you for having me.
It's just the first of probably many times that we'll have you on, because you know
y'all gonna see me again.
you always got something to say. You always got something to say. So like I said, appreciate you. We can follow you at, you know what I'm saying, drop your
That's so
again.
Raven. It's that's and then period. So Raven with 2 N's and an underscore.
Oh my God. Y'all follow her on Instagram, please.
Yep, that's me. Get it?
Yeah. Anyways, closing out another episode of the Rapper Cap podcast. I'm your host, Mike the Young OG. You can follow me on Instagram. Follow the Instagram page, RAPORCAP podcast on Instagram. If you're following on Twitter, remove the T, add the 1. It's another one. This probably be the last episode that y'all see on this series. We're gonna go ahead and close it out. Got a very special surprise next week. If you're still watching this, I really rock with you because a lot of people don't make it to the end. So appreciate you. Appreciate Raven again. Closing out. Y'all tell us if we wrapping the cap.